Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Mataji Dan.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam Chandan.
Chandran Prabhu, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Pranam. Om Agyanti Mirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamanyam Dadati Swavadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhesha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukhom Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langaite Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. So we will be finishing the 12th chapter today. So we are discussing the last section. We were in the middle. Some qualities are remaining. We are discussing what pleases Krishna. This is devotees' disposition or qualities of devotees that pleases Krishna. There are total 31 qualities. We covered this slide already last week, that when one's behavior is in such a way that he does not agitate anyone, nor he becomes agitated by others' behavior, basically his tolerance, when one exhibit that quality, then he becomes dear to Krishna. And this is where we are beginning now. My devotee who is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities, we'll see one by one. So my devotee who is not dependent on ordinary course of activities basically means he depends on Krishna. He does whatever is needed to be done to the best of his capacity, but with respect to results he depends on Krishna. Sometimes results is favorable, sometimes it's not. He depends on Krishna based on one's faith. Like there is a story of Shivas Thakur. Shivas Thakur was a householder. He had family, kids, but he had no job or business. He would not work. So he was associate of Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya asked Shivas Thakur, Shivas, you have a family. You should work and make a earning. Otherwise, how will you maintain your family? And Shivas Thakur clapped 3 times. And Mahaprabhu said, Shivas, you have to work. You have a family. And Shivas again clapped 3 times. And then Mahaprabhu said, why are you clapping 3 times? Why don't you answer my question? Why don't you work? And again Shivas Thakur clapped 3 times. Then Mahaprabhu asked, "What does that mean?" clapping 3 times. And Shivas Thakur said, um, "I will wait for one day and see if Krishna supplies. If Krishna does not supply, I will fast. Then I will wait for another day and see if Krishna supplies. If he doesn't supply, I will fast. I will wait third day and see if Krishna supplies. If Krishna does not supply, I'll go into the Ganges and tie a stone around my neck and jump into the river." Um, um, Mahaprabhu, Mahaprabhu told him, uh, Srivas, um, even if there is no food on the earthly planet, goddess of fortune Lakshmi Devi will herself go to the heavenly planet and get the grains from there and bring it to you. As long as you are in this body, you will never have problem of maintenance because you have so much faith in Krishna. Depending upon one's faith. Um, Now we cannot we cannot copy, we cannot mimic these great souls, because um, to what extent Krishna reciprocates with us is based on faith. It is described that who is a beginner, who is an intermediate devotee, and who is an advanced devotee is based on how much faith one has on Krishna. Um, there is this particular story of Ramanujacharya. There was an envious person who was envious of Ramanujacharya, and the fame of Ramanujacharya was intolerable to him. So he decided that he will poison Ramanujacharya. So he went to the temple where Ramanujacharya was supposed to visit, and he mixed a very strong poison into Chanamrit. So Ramanujacharya came. Naturally, when he would come, he would take Charnamrit. Um, so Ramanujacharya came and he paid obeisances to the deities. Then he prayed and then he went to Charnamrit. And as he was about to take Charnamrit, Ramanujacharya, by his um, connection with the Lord, internal connection, he came to know that there is poison in this Charnamrit. And then he thought, but this is still Charnamrit. It has washed the lotus feet of Lord Narayan. So he drank it with that faith that this is Charnamrit. Charnamrit can never be contaminated, and nothing happened to him. And behind were his disciples, and they were about to take Charnamrit, and Ramanujacharya told them, "Well, we are running late, let's go." And they said, "Guru Maharaj, Charnamrit." And Ramanujacharya told them, "No Charnamrit today, let's go." But he himself drank. Um, so that was his faith, nothing happened to him. There is another story of Shankaracharya, who one time went with his followers into the shop of, where um, um, they use molten lead, this molten lead, um, this iron shop. They do some iron, they make different things with iron, so it was molten iron kind of thing. Shankaracharya took that molten iron and he drank, and nothing happened to him. That was so. These personalities are um, very rare, very rare. Um, but what we can apply in our life is, mm, I will do my duty. I will whatever I'm supposed to do, and good or bad, I will depend upon Krishna. I am doing it as a service to Krishna. So that is what is not dependent on the ordinary course of activities. He does not think whatever I have gained is because of my intelligence or my. So when a person depends on Krishna, he becomes dear to Krishna. Then another is one who is pure. Mm. One time a devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, "Prabhupada, how can we please you?" And Prabhupada said, become a pure devotee of Krishna. So as we become more and more pure, we become more and more dear to Krishna. And it's natural because our desires become more and more selfless, um, and our only goal becomes Krishna centered. Usually when we are not pure, even though we may be doing some service to Krishna, we will have some other motives as well. um, um, so um, if we become pure, become dear to Krishna. There is one devotee who is again associate of Lord Chaitanya. His name was Vasudev Datta. And Vasudev Datta, um, his heart was full of compassion. And he told Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that um, let me take the karma of the living entities in this universe, so that they can go back to Godhead, even if I have to suffer myself for their karma. This is compassion. Compassion means when you are ready to take inconvenience on yourself for convenience of others. And he could see that real joy comes through Krishna. If one becomes Krishna conscious, then one becomes happy. But people in this material world, forgetful of Krishna, out of ignorance of the body, are trying to become happy through the body, through different material desires. And um, a self-realized soul can see beyond. So Vasudev Datta had that compassion, um, and he prayed to Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya became very pleased with him. And Lord Chaitanya said, well, whatever is your desire, I will fulfill. I will make these people devotees, and you don't have to suffer the karma also. Um, so Mahaprabhu was very pleased because of the purity of his desire. Mm. One more thing is, when we become pure, then whatever we desire, Krishna will fulfill naturally. And when we have impurities, um, then our desires will not be fulfilled, because we will, if we have ulterior motives, our desires will not be potent. And then expert, we discussed last week that a devotee is expert in everything he does. He is expert in every situation he deals with. He know why he is expert, because he has read scriptures. So he becomes expert. Then without cares, Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, without care, the word used is audasinya. Audasinya means indifferent. Indifferent. Um, Indifference in spiritual life is not good. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions in Harinam Chintamani, that um, we chant the holy names. There are 10 offenses to the holy names. The root cause of all the offenses to the holy name is inattentiveness in chanting. When we are inattentive in chanting, it gives rise to all the offenses. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions that there are three ways one can become inattentive in chanting. One way is Audasinya. Audasinya means indifferent. Indifferent means, Prabhuji, we have to chant. Yeah, okay, we will see. So it's like, it's not our priority and we are indifferent. I will chant in the afternoon. Afternoon comes, I think we should chant. No, right now I'm tired, I will chant in the evening. Evening came, we have to chant. Yeah, I will chant, but I have to take care of these things and then I will chant. So one is indifferent. One does not give any priority. So that is one of the offense to the holy name. Then um, another uh, another is Jadia. Jadia means laziness. So one has to chant. So one takes up the japa mala and one start chanting, and in the middle of the round one feels, I'm too tired, so he goes and takes some rest, and he doesn't complete his round, so he feels very lazy amidst chanting. So that is called jadiya. That also causes inattention. And the third is vikshepa. Vikshepa means distraction. um, when a person has lot of material attachments, then during his japa, these attachments come to him and they distract him, because mind naturally tends to flow towards attachments. So vikshepa. Um, so the word used there is indifference. Indifference to spiritual life is not good. Rather, one should be very enthusiastic and eager to make progress. But indifference to material life is good. Indifference to material life means you got promotion, that's all right, or something that is supposed to happen didn't happen, things didn't go as per our plan, that's all right. So indifferent to ups and downs in this material world. So when we are indifferent to this, but we are very eager, and see, we have to be eager and enthusiastic somewhere. If we are too much eager and enthusiastic about material life, then we won't have that same determination for spiritual life. So one who is indifferent to material life but is very eager for spiritual life, that person becomes very dear to Krishna. And then one who is free from all pains. um, Srila Prabhupada says in the purport, um, person who is attached to a designation, person who is not attached to designation becomes free from all pains. So when we identify ourselves um, um, with some designation, um, um, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed, ना हम विप्रो ना च नरपति ना पिवैश्य न शूद्रो ना हम वर्णी ना च गृहपति ना वनिस्थो यतिर्वा किंतु प्रोद्यम निखिला परमानंदा पूर्णामृताब्दे गोपी भर्तृ पद कमले और दास दास अनुदास. So he prayed that I am not a Brahmana or a Kshatriya or a Vaishya or a Shudra, neither I am a Brahmachari or a Grihastha or a Vanaprastha or a Sannyas. So this is our designations. Um, um, while we are in this body, we have many designations. As an engineer, as a doctor, um, manager, software developer, as a family man, as a father, as a wife, etc., etc. And when we identify ourselves with the designations, that will give rise to pain. But when we understand that I am spirit, soul, part and parcel of Krishna, when we actually identify with our spiritual identity, then we won't be much affected with ups and downs in this material world. And then one who is not striving for some results, he does strive for results in spiritual life, he wants to become pure, but material life, he does think as a matter of his duty. Just like Arjuna was advised to fight not to gain the kingdom, but it is his duty as a kshatriya, he's supposed to do. um, so like that, then also one becomes dear to Krishna. And then so there are only three verses remaining. This is the second last verse of the qualities. We'll only discuss the qualities today and start with new chapter next week only. One who neither rejoices nor grieves. Now Srila Prabhupada is a very good example of this. One who neither rejoices nor grieves. Um, Before, like there was an instance where Srila Prabhupada was a big businessman, and his factory was in Allahabad, and his son was taking care of the factory. And then one night, what happened? Um, the factory was set on fire. Something mishappening happened inside the factory, and his son Vraja, he ran out with the employees, and it was such a huge fire that burned everything into ashes, the whole factory. And Vraja sent a telegram to his father, Abhay Charan, that um, um, Father, we are doomed. Um, uh, we have become a pauper now. Um, we lost everything. And Srila Prabhupada, when he heard, Srila Prabhupada smiled, and Srila Prabhupada chanted this verse, Yasya Hamanu Grinani, means when Krishna's mercy comes, Krishna takes everything away from us. Um, so Srila Prabhupada was not grieving for it, but he took it as Krishna's arrangement. And after that, Srila Prabhupada, he took Vanaprastha. He started living in Vrindavan. Um, he had lot of difficulty even to perform small devotional service. He would go to, he would write books whole night, but he had no money to print the books. Without any money, with whatever few cents he had, he would walk, and then he would take the train, and then he would go to Delhi, and he would get the books printed. And the printer person will ask him, Swamiji, what about the payment? And Swamiji will say, well, I have lot of money. In future, I will, this is my service to my spiritual master. Please print the books and I will pay back later. And Prabhupada would do like this, and then he would take the books back, and he would try to sell the books, and nobody would buy the books. And then still Prabhupada would keep on writing more and more books. So Srila Prabhupada was not grieving for his failure. In fact, Srila Prabhupada said, Krishna took everything away from me and Krishna tested me. But by his mercy, I passed all the tests. But after Srila Prabhupada took sannyas, he came to the west, and slowly he established over 108 temples, and his daily expenditure was over $100,000. Prabhupada has tens of thousands of disciples. And then Prabhupada said, Krishna took everything away from me and Krishna tested me, and Krishna gave everything to me and Krishna tested me. By the mercy of Krishna, I passed both the test. So when he got everything, he was not rejoicing, see now I am so successful. Or when he lost everything, he was not grieving, see now I have become a pauper. But his mentality was, whatever be the situation, my service to Krishna should continue. Whether I have everything, I will use in Krishna's service. If I have nothing, I will continue to serve Krishna in whichever way I can. So when that is a prime focus, then also one becomes very dear to Krishna. Then who neither laments nor desires. Um, um, Prabhupada writes, unfulfilled desire is a cause of lamentation. When we desire to, especially desire to enjoy something, um, or to gain something, um, and when it doesn't happen, then then we lament. Then we lament. And Prabhupada says in second chapter Bhagavad Gita, first verse in the purport, that lamentation is a sign of ignorance. Um, we lament because um, we identify ourselves with the body, because all of our desire is based on desire to enjoy, and desire to enjoy through the medium of the body, and that is a sign of ignorance of um, our sambandha gyan. Sambandha gyan means our relationship with Krishna. When I when I don't remember my relationship with the Lord, then my desire will be how to live happy and peacefully in this world, because I lost that connection. So who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things. Um, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that ei manda ei bhala sab manodharma. What is auspicious and what is inauspicious, everything is mental concoction, is how we think what is auspicious, what is inauspicious. And there is a story, some of you may have heard, it's a very common story, but I will still share it because it is relevant. That once a villager lost his horse, and all the other villagers, they told him how inauspicious, the horse ran away. And then he said, what is auspicious, what is inauspicious, who knows. And later on, couple of days later, the horse came back with lot of other horses. So he went to some barn, he made lot of friendship, and they all came back. And all the villagers told him, um, how auspicious, you lost one horse, but now that horse came back and so many other horses also came back. Now you became such a rich man. And then the villagers said, what is auspicious, what is inauspicious, who knows. um, And then again, the next day, his son was riding on one of the horse, and this horse was a mad horse. So he kicked the son. He threw him and kicked the son, and the son lost his leg. And all the villagers said, "How inauspicious! Your son lost a leg because of the horse who came with this horse." And the villagers said, "What is auspicious? What is inauspicious? Who knows?" And then again later on. Some army people, they came um, um, mm, to recruit, because some war was about to happen. So they came to recruit, and then they saw that this particular child has a broken leg, so they didn't recruit him, they did not recruit him. So villagers said, how auspicious, because he broke his leg, he didn't have to go to army, otherwise he might have lost his life also. So the villagers said, what is auspicious, what is inauspicious, who knows. So we have our own conception of, if things go as per my desire, what I want, then it's an auspicious thing. Then if somebody says, well, we are doing as per your desire, then it's auspicious. And when we hear um, some a news that is against our desire, then we think today was very inauspicious day because things didn't go as per our plan. But this is all our mental concoction, because we see from a very short time frame, um, and actually because of ego, when our ego is satisfied, we think it's auspicious, or else it is inauspicious. So one who again sees whatever comes, his a devotee prayer is, my Lord, doesn't matter what I want, or what I doesn't want, let the only thing that happen be is what you want. Like one devotee, he called me, actually he was going through some family issue and some divorce was happening, and he said, Prabhu, um, my life is very inauspicious because um, uh, of the situation, family situation I am in. um, mm, what should I do? Can you please pray for me that my marriage doesn't break? And somehow, um, I got the inspiration that marriage will not work somehow. I mean, the relationship may not work. And then I told him, Prabhu, um, okay, I will pray. You also pray to Krishna, but don't pray that, my Lord, save this or do this or do that. But pray to the Lord, my Lord, whatever you think is best for me, let that happen. Whatever happens, let my service to you continues. Try to pray in that manner, and Krishna will do whatever is best for you. Then he prayed like that. Ultimately, um, things didn't come out, but if things doesn't go our way, does not makes thing inauspicious. That's what I'm trying to say. Things may go our way, things may not go our way. We should have faith that um, 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 just before leaving, Srila Prabhupada said, everything happens by the arrangement of Krishna, and Krishna is all good. It just takes some time to see how this thing was favorable. We may not be able to see it right away because our vision is very short. We are thinking only about tomorrow and the after tomorrow. We are not thinking long term. That's why when we become devotees of Krishna, Krishna takes control of our lives, and Krishna does what is best for us. Krishna does not necessarily do what we want, but what is best for us. So, in the course of life, many ups and downs may come. A devotee should see everything as Krishna's arrangement. Like somebody, usually what happens when we lack faith in Krishna, I have seen that one devotee's father was going through cancer and he passed away, and she lost faith in Krishna. She stopped chanting, and she's like, there is no God, I don't believe in God. I was going to these ISKCON classes, this is all like this. And I spoke with her, and she's like not at all interested to talk. And then I said, all right. And her husband was stable. And I told him, Prabhu, you continue practicing devotional service. Krishna will take care of her. She is very unstable right now. So give her some time and space. And then after 6 to 8 months, uh, she again started coming to temple. Again, she slowly picked up 16 rounds, and now she is aspiring for initiations. Uh, so, whatever we are hearing is a training for us, so that when it is time to apply, we should be able to apply that. Um, um, like yesterday, I was visiting one home, and uh, um, apparently that husband wife, they have regular kind of uh, um, arguments among each other, and they were mentioning that, Prabhu, we fight a lot, and um, um, there is lot of happiness and distress in our life. And then Prabhu said, very sincere devotee, they both are initiated devotees, but somehow things things are very up and down in their home. um, and then Prabhu said that I know uh, we should not be in this zone of happiness and distress, um, but it is so difficult to apply when things don't go our way. Although I have heard so many times, and I have read in Bhagavad Gita so many times about indifference to situation is good or bad, um, to remain stable. Um, and then I said, well, Prabhu, if Krishna does not put us in this situation, then we don't get a chance to practice what Krishna is telling. So Bhagavad Gita, if we hear and don't apply, then there will be no benefit. I mean, there will be hardly any benefit. Plus, if we don't apply the qualities that Krishna mentions in 12th chapter, then we won't be pleasing him. Our behavior will not be pleasing to him. Um, and then we will have difficulty in our spiritual practices also. So whatever situation we come, if we pass those tests of ups and downs in our life, um, for the pleasure of Krishna, for um, for the pleasure of Krishna, if we pass those tests, then we advance. And all these pure devotees who are today pure devotees, they went through all different kinds of tests in their life, and they acted according to what gives pleasure to Krishna in those circumstances, day after day, month after month, year after year. And that's how they have been given such a position today as a spiritual master, that they can guide others because they have applied it in their own life. They have themselves become expert in application of Gita in their life, and that's why they can assist others. So we will also grow, and all the situations that come in our life is a ground to practice what we are hearing, and um, we gain strength to follow what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita through the holy names. Um, um, because it requires inner strength to be able to go beyond our mind and ego, to be able to overcome that force, because that force is very strong, and that force will push us in a wrong direction. So that strength, that spiritual strength, comes from our sadhana. And Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita in third chapter, when Arjuna asks, what is this enemy um, um, that is forcing me to do what I don't want to do? And Krishna says, Kama Esha Krodha Esha. It is lust only, Arjuna. When unfulfilled gives rise to frustration. So when there is lust, lust is things should go as per the way I want things to go. And then um, and when things doesn't go according to our way, then there is frustration. um, Frustration brings immature renunciation, artificial renunciation, which is not really matured. So how to overcome it? And Krishna says, by spiritual strength. We need strength to overcome that force, and he said that strength comes from sadhana, abhyas. We have to do that. Okay, and then this is one more last verse of qualities. Then one who is equal to friends and enemies. Um, the definition of friend and enemy in this material world is also based on ignorance. Srila Prabhupada describes who is our friend. Uh, Somebody who is a yes man to me, he is my friend. Who supports everything I do, he is my friend. And who is my enemy? Who doesn't like me, or who doesn't give me the proper reception, encouragement, goes against my ideas, doesn't like my views, or speaks negatively to me or about me to others, etc. So whoever is, basically whoever hurts my false ego, he is my enemy. So our friend, and our enemy is also a egoistic principle. um, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Samoham sarva bhuteshu namayasti same na priya. Krishna says, I am equal to all. I don't have any friend, I don't have any enemy. And likewise, pure devotees, they do not have any friends, nor do they have any enemies. But their thing is, well, how can I um, serve Krishna um, by serving this person? How can I serve? That's a principle. Um, mm, this particular story of Prahlad Maharaj. Some of you may have heard the story of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj was born to a demoniac family. Um, this very powerful demon, his name was Hiranyakashipu, and his son was a pure devotee of Lord. His name was Prahlad, and Hiranyakashipu wanted to kill all the brahmanas, all the cows, and kill Vishnu so that he can become God. So he asked his son would go to school, and Prahlad came back from the school, and the father asked the son Prahlad, "What did you learn today?" And Prahlad Maharaj said, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atmanivedanam. My dear father, I heard that we should hear the glories of Krishna, chant the glories of Krishna, Vishnu Smaranam, we should remember Vishnu, Pada Sevanam, we should serve his lotus feet, Dasyam, we should become his servant. And when Hiranyakashipu heard all these things, he became greatly angry, and he chastised the teachers of Prahlad Maharaj, whose name was Sanda and Amarka. He chastised them, "You fools and you rascals, what did you teach my son?" And Sanda and Amarka became angry when they heard. Sanda and Amarka, they said, "My lord, your honor, you are the king. We accept everything you say, but please don't accuse us for what we have not done. Um, we don't know how this boy is teaching all these things. We are teaching him all demoniac principles." Then Hiranyakashipu told Sanda and Amarka that somehow or other our enemies, who are Vishnu's representatives, are infiltrating our camp, and they are poisoning the mind of my dear son Prahlad. Sanda and Amarka said, "Do not worry, we will look into the case. He is only 5-year-old child. Give us some time and we will rectify him." So Sanda and Amarka took Prahlad back to the school, and they both asked Prahlad Maharaj, "Where are you learning all these things from? About Vishnu, serving his feet, and who is teaching you all these things? We never taught you. From where are our enemies entering our school?" And Prahlad Maharaj said, "Only out of ignorance does one consider somebody is my friend and somebody is my enemy. So that is a principle. Whoever is against me or I don't like, that becomes my enemy." So one who is not in that conception, rather, um, one time, one devotee, Jagat Guru Prabhu, he asked us, what should we do if somebody doesn't like us? And everybody gave different answers, and he said, well, we should pray for them. Even if somebody doesn't like us or they have negativity towards us, we should pray for them. When we pray for them, because Paramatma is sitting in their heart will become softened, will become soft towards us. So a devotee is a well-wisher of everyone, independent of whether they like us or not. Uh, there is a prayer composition on six Goswamis. It says, "Dhira dhira jana priyo priya karo nirmatsara pujito." So dhira adhira jana priyo. Dhira is sober. Adhira is who are envious people. Dhira adhira jana priyo. So these Goswamis, these saintly people, um, were, for them, both Dhira and Adhira were dear to them equally. Um, so they have no friends or enemies. Then who is equipoised in honor and dishonor? Usually what happens when we are honored, um, we are very much pleased, and when we are dishonored, then they become like our enemies, and it's again a egoistic conception, because ego is hurt, ego is our enemy. Well, we understand, but when it begins with knowledge, we need to understand what is right, what is wrong. And then second thing is strength, which we get by our spiritual practices. And when we use our strength, our spiritual strength, to act on transcendental knowledge, and act in an ideal way Krishna wants us to act, then we make spiritual progress, we make advancement. So all these situations are a test, all this test in the life of us. these tests, um, uh, if we fail, we will have to go through same tests again. If we fail, if we pass, test will become uh, tougher, tougher and tougher, because Krishna wants us to become pure, and it is not easy to become pure, because for lifetimes we have been feeding the thoughts originating from mind, intellect, and ego, and we have become so habituated to it. But after hearing, when we try to apply, um, if we slowly become successful, we advance spiritually. So there is this one short story of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he took sannyas when he was 24 years old, and he, after taking sannyas, he made his residence in Jagannath Puri. Jagannath Puri is in Odisha. When Mahaprabhu went there, Mahaprabhu met a, a great guru. His name was Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Mahaprabhu and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya considered Lord Chaitanya only as a devotee and nothing more than a devotee. And then there is lot of interaction. It's a long story, but finally Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, seeing Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya taking a very humble position, and requesting the Lord to please reveal his divinity, Lord Chaitanya showed his six hands handed form to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Two hand of Krishna playing flute, two hand of Lord Ramchandra holding bow and arrow, and two hand of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu holding a sannyas danda and a kamandulu, the water pot. Um, um, and from that point onwards, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became a very dedicated devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And naturally, uh, people invite sannyasis in homes to serve them and feed prasadam. So um, Mahaprabhu would receive requests every day from many homes to come and take prasadam in their home, and give blessings like that. So one time Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he personally invited Lord Chaitanya, and Mahaprabhu said, okay, I will come. So Mahaprabhu went to his home for prasadam, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya made this gallons and gallons of rice and sabjis and malpua and pakoras and sweets and samosas and huge preparation. He made like 30-40 items, everything in huge quantity. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to his home, and he kept this half room full of prasadam in big um, um, banana leaves, but they use banana leaves as a plate uh, in ancient time, and that's a wonderful culture. So in big banana leaves, huge mountains of all different kinds of preparations. And Mahaprabhu said, I am a sannyasi, how can I eat so much? And Sarva Bhattacharya said, oh my lord, you're a sannyasi, you can't eat so much. As Govardhan, you ate lakes, not just small quantity, lakes of sweet rice and kachoris and puris, and you ate them all. As Jagannath, you eat 56 items every day, 56 times. This is only, I am a poor man, and I cannot serve you properly. So I am just giving you a small, it's a morsel for you. It's a small speck for you. This is nothing for you. Please forgive me, I cannot satisfy you. Now please don't speak a word and eat whatever I have offered to you. And Lord Chaitanya, being surrendered to his own devotees, started eating. And he started eating everything just to please Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has son-in-law. His name was Amogha. Amogha. Um, and Amogha came, and Amogha saw Lord Chaitanya eating in this huge plantain leaves, this huge quantity of prasada. And Amogha said, see, what kind of boga sannyasi are you? You just show off and act like you're a sannyasi, but you are a voracious eater. Voracious eater means uncontrollable eater, and sannyasi is supposed to be renounced and simple, and um, you are just a hypocrite. And he criticized Lord Chaitanya. This is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Um, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya became very angry. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's wife, Kripi, she told, I wish my son-in-law becomes a widow today. My daughter becomes a widow today. Uh, and Sarvam Bhattacharya took a stick and started chasing behind Amoga to beat him up. And because Sarvam Bhattacharya was old and Amoga was very young, he ran away. So Sarvam Bhattacharya became very morose and he told Lord Chaitanya, my Lord, please forgive me. It seems like I have invited you for prasadam and I have insulted you after inviting you for prasadam. That's a great offense on my side. Um, um, I'm very upset with my son-in-law. I wish Krishna can take his life away from him. But please forgive me. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acted, remained unaffected. He finishes prasadam and he told Swami Bhattacharya, don't think anything about it and don't worry about it. And Mahaprabhu took prasadam and he left. So he was not so um, um, affected by honor and dishonor. On one point, he was being treated as a sannyasi with so much prasadam. On another time, he is treated with harsh words. And Mahaprabhu remained equanimous in both the times. But naturally, what happened on the same day in the evening, because of the offense Amogha incurred to Lord Chaitanya, Amogha contracted cholera. Cholera is during that time. Now also cholera is a little severe disease, but during that time, anybody who gets cholera would die. Like just like now we have this virus, so many people died, whoever was getting it to a large extent. Now it's not so effective. Likewise, that time cholera was like that. So anybody who contracted cholera, hundreds and thousands of people were dying. So he contracted cholera, and he was at the verge of death. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received the news that Amoga is on the verge of death. But because Amoga was son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, because he was connected to a devotee, Mahaprabhu decided to show his mercy to him. So Mahaprabhu immediately ran to the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, where Amoga was about to leave his body. And Mahaprabhu told Amogha, why did you allow yourself to act out of envy? When we envy, we criticize others. Because envy means I want to be the enjoyer. If somebody else is enjoying what I am not able to enjoy, then I cannot tolerate that. So that was Amoga's principle. Why am I not getting so much respect and why am I not treated? Why him? So he found fault in Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya told Amoga, why did you act out of envy? Why did you allow yourself? Envy may be there, but when we act on it, then we incriminate a great offense. But if it's just there and we don't act on it, there is no reaction. Just take shelter of Krishna, continue your life. So why did you allow yourself? And then Mahaprabhu told Amoga, chant the names of Krishna. And Amoga, because Mahaprabhu, by this instruction, chant the name of Krishna, um, gave love of God to Amoga. And Amogha, when he started chanting, his heart became conquered by the holy name. His senses became inert, and he was completely overtaken by spiritual divinity. And Amogha um, condemned himself why he used such harsh words towards Lord Chaitanya. And Amogha started slapping himself, um, and he was slapping himself so hard that his cheek started to bleed, and Amoga was still continuing to slap himself, telling him, cursing his mouth, how can it speak harshly about Lord Chaitanya? That is the power of divinity that Mahaprabhu gave to Amoga. So, anyways, if we remain equipoised in honor and dishonor, then we become dear to Krishna. And then equipoised in heat and cold. Uh, um, Srila Prabhupada said, heat is austerity and cold is misery. Um, um, so in our ashram also, when it is very hot, we don't turn on AC because heat is an austerity. We should perform austerity, but cold is a misery. If it's too cold, we will die. So cold is a misery. Um, um, there is this nice little story on heat and cold, that there was one disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Her name was Yamuna Devi Dasi, Yamuna Mataji. Those who have been to ISKCON temples during the morning time, you see when there is darshan, every day morning, the Lord is bathed and then dressed and ornamented and garlands and very elaborate decoration. And then the darshan opens and we greet the Lord after this morning seva. And we play a bhajan, Govinda Madi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami Govinda Adi Purusham. So you may have heard. So that was sung by Yamuna Devi, Yamuna Mataji. Um, so during that time, during Srila Prabhupada time, Srila Prabhupada asked Yamuna Mataji that you go to Vrindavan and you help in overseeing the construction of Krishna Balram temple in Vrindavan. So she went and she was staying there, and those of you who don't know, Vrindavan is the hottest place in India. During the summer, it will cross 50 degrees centigrade. And Yamuna Mataji was a Western girl. Uh, and in Western, it's a cold country. So for them, little bit of heat is also intolerable. What to speak about 55 degrees centigrade. So when she was living there, it was intense suffering for her. And there is no coolers, there is no ACs at that point of time in Vrindavan. And there was a fan though in the room, but if you turn on the fan, the air coming from fan is like a loo. It's a hot air. It's intolerable. So you cannot turn on the fan also. So what she would do is she would um, take the sari and she would dip it fully drenched into the water, and then she will wear it and wrap it around her. So the moisture from the water will keep her cool, and then she would try to take rest. This is night time. What to speak about daytime? And then she would try to sleep. Within 15 minutes, the sari will become dry, and she will again. She was greatly in um, suffering situation because of the heat of Vrindavan. And then she got a thought. She prayed, and then she got a thought that Srila Prabhupada lived in Vrindavan for over a decade uh, in the same environment, and he used to write books, and um, um, he prepared himself, he came to the West, and today we have Krishna because of his struggle that he went through. And it gave her a lot of joy to see that. And now, when she was seeing the heat, she was seeing my spiritual master went through it. So I must also, by going through it for the pleasure of service to Srila Prabhupada, I am pleasing my spiritual master. So the thought that this is my service and it is giving pleasure to Srila Prabhupada, um, her her suffering was giving her so much joy, because the thought that this is giving pleasure to my spiritual master. I'm trying to serve him in this situation. He tolerated. Now it's time for me to reciprocate. I must tolerate also. So that became a source of pleasure for her. So my spiritual master was telling the how heart transformation takes place. So this is an example of transformation of the heart, which initially same situation was so much suffering condition for her became a cause of joy just because her consciousness was transformed from this is everything is against this weather and causing me so much suffering too, it is giving pleasure to my spiritual master, so let me tolerate that. So one who can remain equipoised in heat and cold, um, and then likewise happiness and distress. Krishna says happiness and distress, they all come because of again um, 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 mental speculation. Mental speculation. Um, all these problems is because of identification with the body. Um, it may seem a small thing, but this is a root cause of all the problems. And the solution to all the problems is when we can identify ourselves that I am part and parcel of Krishna. This is called Sambandha Gyan. Sambandha means relationship. When we are aware of our original relationship, then the situation in this world doesn't matter much. But when we are too absorbed in temporary, then all these things will be a cause of distress for us. Um, so again, cultivating spirituality is the only way to apply Gita in our own life. And then there is um, fame and infamy. Um, some of you may have heard of Gaur Gopal Prabhu. He is very famous in ISKCON. Many of the devotees I hear, they hear his talks. So one time Gaur Gopal Prabhu came and he gave a talk in Farmington Hills Temple. So myself and um, 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 a devotee whom I take guidance from, Yugal Kishore Prabhu, we both went to receive him, Gaur Gopal Prabhu. He's very famous man. While some of his videos have over 2 million views, very famous. And then we were driving him here, and he was telling both of us that um, um, my only happiness in life actually is that I have a spiritual master. That's how he began. My only happiness is that I have a spiritual master. And he said, I have so much fame, at the same time I have so much criticism. So he said, with fame comes criticism. uh, there is so much fame and so much criticism, but I'm able to tolerate both with the feeling that I'm trying to serve my spiritual master. Doesn't matter what others say, whether some may glorify or some may criticize, doesn't matter. Let me continue serving my spiritual master. So that's how one can overcome um, the fame and infamy aspect. Um, um, yeah, for not for devotees, because for devotees it's Krishna factor mostly, but in a regular case it comes based on karma. When you have lot of good karma, you will become very famous, you will become very wealthy. When you don't have, you won't get anything. So a devotee is not eager either to become famous or anything like that, but he just tries to serve the Lord. On the other hand, a devotee wants to go in the background and um, um, keep rendering service without coming in the center. Um, Parasar Muni was once asked, what are the qualities of a devotee? And The answer came by Parasar Muni that a devotee is like a salt. Of course, there were four things. I'm just taking this one point. A devotee is like a salt. So, what is the quality of a salt? A salt, like, is never glorified, but at the same time, a dish is unpalatable without the salt. If very nice, like today we had breakfast, there was, what was there, pongal. In the temple they made pongal, salty pongal. So tastes very good. And then we said, well, pongal is great, and we glorify the cook who cooked pongal, but we never say the salt is great. No, we glorify the dish, but at the same time, um, um, mm, salt has so much value. So salt does everything, but salt remains in the background. Likewise, a devotee, he is the backbone of the temple. He does so many things. He works day and night very hard to um, uh, to continue the seva, um, but at the same time he is like a salt, means nobody knows this person exists, nobody knows his contribution. So a devotee is like that, and a person who serves like that, he becomes very dear to Krishna. So fame and infamy will may come or may go. A devotee specifically tries to avoid fame. Like there is this one more story of Madhavendra Puri. One time Madhavendra Puri went to a village called Remuna in Orissa, and he went to a temple of Gopinath, and he developed a desire that I want to taste kheer, sweet rice in this temple, um, to see how it tastes, so that so that I can prepare something like that and offer to my deity. He had a deity named Gopal in Vrindavan, so that I can offer to Gopal deity. And he just developed a desire, and then he cursed himself. So far, Gopinath has not even eaten. How can I develop a desire to taste it when Gopinath has not even eaten it? So he became very morose and he left the temple. And that night, Gopinath came in a dream of head pujari, and Gopinath told head pujari, I have stolen a pot of sweet rice for my devotee Madhavendra Puri. Go and give it to him. Now, after the Lord sleeps, nobody should enter the temple hall, or sorry, should enter the altar when the Lord sleeps, because it's a disturbance. So this, because Gopinath asked him, he went inside the altar, and Gopinath told him in a dream that I have stolen the pot of rice and I have kept it in this corner so nobody can see. You go there, you will find a pot of rice, and you give it to Madhavendra Puri. And when he went there, in that corner, sure enough, a pot of rice was there. And this head pujari, he took the pot of rice with tears in his eyes, because he had reciprocation from Gopinath. That was his own qualification, that Gopinath reciprocated to him. So he started walking in the, it's a midnight, he started walking, and he started calling out, where is this most greatly fortunate personality Madhavendra Puri, for whom Gopinath had stolen the sweet rice? Where is this most fortunate devotee Madhavendra Puri, for whom Gopinath has stolen sweet rice? And he kept on calling like that. And in the middle of the night, in one corner, Madhavendra Puri was sitting chanting his holy names and crying. Why did I develop a desire to eat sweet rice which was not offered to Gopinath? And this head pujari is coming. Madhavendra Puri, Madhavendra Puri. Madhavendra Puri thought, what happened? He came out and he asked, what happened? Gopinath has stolen sweet rice for you. And Madhavendra Puri could not. He broke into tears, completely flooded. He could not control himself. Um, um, from that day onwards, the temple is called Kheer Chor Gopinath, because Gopinath ne chori kiya. He stole the kheer. So you can still go to Remuna and visit Kheer Chor Gopinath, very very famous temple. And Madhvendra Puri knew the next day morning he will become very famous because everybody in the temple will come to know for Madhvendra Puri Gopinath ne chori kiya kheer, sweet rice. So he left. Overnight he left. So a devotee consciously tries to avoid any fame because fame creates a disturbance in one's consciousness. So a devotee is not much eager for towards fame and infamy. Likewise, when he is criticized, he doesn't mind that either. He doesn't mind that either. And then the next is who is always free from contaminating association. Contaminating association means one time um, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asked who is a devotee, and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Asat Sangha Tyaga Ehi Vaishnavachar. One who gives up the association of non-devotees, he is a Vaishnava. So see, association will contaminate our consciousness. It will contaminate. Many people, they are attracted and they want to associate with people who are wealthy, people who are famous, opulent, um, and people who are beautiful. So dhanam janam and sundarim, people who have lot of followings, people who have lot of dhan, wealth, and sundarim, people who are very beautiful. So common man try to associate with these kind of people, but a devotee is not, he only wants to associate with devotees because it is commonly seen that when we associate with those who have material desires, we will also become inflicted by their desires. If somebody is too rich and we associate with them, then we'll develop a desire, I want to become rich like him. I know one person, he practicing devotional service, दो चार माला करते हैं, 2-4 rounds he chants, but he associate with a very wealthy person. He is a good friend with a very wealthy person. So many times he told me, Prabhu, I am depressed. I said, why are you depressed? Because I don't have such big home and I can't have it. My job doesn't support it, and this and this and that. I said, because you have developed such desires because you have a contaminating association. This association has contaminated you. That's why your desire, instead of realizing your spiritual identity, you are going deeper in ignorance. And no matter what you gain, you will run throughout your life toward this dhanam, janam, and sundarim. And then once you die, um, you will see everything I worked for was useless. And there is a story of great fool, and you will consider yourself very foolish. Mahaprabhu was very strict with asat sangha. There was one great devotee of the Lord. His name was Maharaj Pratap Rudra, and he was a great devotee of the Lord, and he was the king of Orissa and Bengal. So devotees came to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and they said, Maharaj Pratap Rudra is telling that he wants to see you to take dust from your lotus feet. He is your great devotee. And Mahaprabhu said, I will never see him. Why? He is a great devotee, but he has one fault, and his fault is that he has this designation of a king. Because of that, I will not see him. Now, Mahaprabhu, naturally, because Maharaj Pratap Rudra was a pure devotee of the Lord, Mahaprabhu gave lot of mercy, but he met him eventually. But there, Mahaprabhu wants to say that because he has this title that he is a king, he is contaminating as contaminated association. So when we associate with those who are um, running after, the idea is running after because they are very famous, they have lot of followers and other things, then we will compare ourselves to them. Oh, so many people follow him, I also want people to follow me. Oh, this person is so beautiful, I also want to become beautiful and handsome. Oh, this person is so wealthy, I also want such wealth for myself. So the goal of life becomes avidya, asat, because of contaminating association. So when we are free from contaminating association, then again we become dear to Krishna. And then um, always silent. Always silent means he doesn't speak nonsense. Doesn't speak nonsense. Silent. Um, um, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Raghunath Das Goswami, um, 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 don't dress luxuriantly, don't dress luxuriantly, uh, don't eat luxuriantly, um, don't speak Gramya Katha, uh, don't listen Gramya Katha. Gramya Katha means village talks. Village talks means mundane gossip. Mundane gossip is like about wealth, politics, mundane beauty, um, fame, or any or criticism of others. These are all um, film stars, movies. These are all mundane gossips. The moment you speak about the subject matter not related to Krishna, um, you will become weak in your spiritual life. It's a very important point. Um, it will it will increase asat, avidya in us. It's a contaminating association in itself. We develop such we take sides, and then we develop a lot of anxiety. We support something, we dislike something. It just absorbs us into materialism. um, so always silent means the person is grave. Grave means he speaks when necessary, and he speaks uh, in a Krishna conscious way. He does not do prajalpa. Prajalpa is not good. Prajalpa means talks unrelated to Krishna or unrelated to service of Krishna. So devotees are trained. If there is a service, we talk. If there is about Krishna, we talk. But if it is not related to seva, if it's not related to sadhana or Krishna katha, then there is no need to talk. Why talk? So always silent. So when a person is like that, he becomes dear to Krishna, and then satisfied with anything. Whatever Krishna arranges, satisfied. It is said that especially for renounced order, they should not even save a plate of food for themselves. But whenever there is a time to eat, if something is available, whatever is available, they should eat. Or for um, for a grahasthashram, they should not over endeavor. Yes, they need to save because that's the nature of the ashram for unforeseen circumstances, because they have spouse and kids, but not over endeavor. Um, um, Rupa Goswami says 6 things that will vinashyati, that will destroy bhakti, and one of that 6 thing is atyahara and prayasa. Atyahara means overindulging, and prayasa means over endeavor. Um, so, um, um, if we don't do those things, then also we become dear to Krishna, who doesn't care for any residence. Uh, in our practical, I mean, this example of 6 Goswamis, they would sleep under different trees every day. They were Ashesha Mandalapati. They were filthy rich. One was finance minister, one was prime minister. Rupa Goswami was finance minister and Sanatan Goswami was prime minister. They were Ashesha Mandalapati. Mandala means filthy rich. Mandalapati. Shrenim Sada Tuchhavat. They considered it Tucha in front of, Tucha means unvaluable, in front of um, um, Bhakti. in front of cultivating their relationship with the Lord. They considered it everything insignificant, and they started living in Vrindavan, and at who were Mandalapati, they were living in different trees, not even the same tree every night. They have no residence. So a devotee is not much eager about or much concerned about physical needs. In material world, we see people are running after 10 bedroom apartment, 8 bedroom apartment, 6 bedroom apartment, bigger and bigger house. And why? Just to compare. Why? My friend has 5 bedroom apartment, so I must have at least 6 bedroom apartment. The consciousness is asat. Asat means triggered by um, ignorance, as if Jesus Christ said, don't try to make a permanent residence in this material world, because you cannot. Try to build a home in the kingdom of God. Um, so they don't care for any residence. Then who is fixed in knowledge? One becomes fixed in knowledge by regular hearing and by systematic reading. We should read every day Bhagavad Gita and then Bhagavatam systematically and by regular hearing. We become fixed in knowledge. The knowledge, the even those who are fixed in knowledge, by contaminating association, they forget the knowledge because of their association. They know what is right, what is wrong, but when they associate with Dhanam, Janam, and Sundarim, wealth, followings, fame, and beauty, everything vanishes. So they cannot remain fixed in knowledge. And then later on, they are like, oh, what was I thinking? Why was I thinking like that? So when we remain fixed in knowledge, by constant association of Shastra, more and more we read scriptures and we hear, we are becoming fixed in knowledge. Because in Kali Yuga, we easily forget. We easily went into ignorance because illusion is so strong. So that's why sometimes we think, why am I hearing and reading every day? Because not only every day, 2 hours after hearing, we all the knowledge goes into the water, uh, and then we act on our lower nature. So we cannot remain fixed in knowledge, but slowly, it stays. It stays. So one who is fixed in knowledge in all circumstances, he becomes dear to Krishna. And finally, one who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me. Now, this here we conclude all the qualities, and this is the last verse. Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me. So far, Krishna has described 31 qualities that we discussed last week and this week. Um, these 31 qualities, Krishna says, one who exhibit these qualities, they become dear to me. And here Krishna is telling, those who make me the supreme goal of his life, and those who um, follow the path of devotional service, those who practice bhakti yoga, they become very, very dear to me. In other words, even if we are very humble, polite, um, uh, and we have all these qualities that are mentioned, but if we are not practicing devotional service to Krishna, then we don't become dear to Krishna. But if we are practicing devotional service and if we are not exhibiting all these 31 qualities, still we become dear to Krishna, because this is the supreme quality. It is said that there are now, um, here is one more slide, how to develop such qualities. We have maybe 2-3 minutes more. Srila Prabhupada, one who wants to be recognized as a devotee, if we want to become devotee, should develop the good qualifications. So we need these qualities. Of course, he does not extraneously endeavor to acquire these qualifications. One does not run after these qualities. One, we have heard 31 qualities. Many of us, at least talking about myself, may not even remember what are the 31 qualities. What to speak about practicing them. So one does not run after to acquire these qualities, but engagement in Krishna consciousness and devotional service automatically helps him develop them. If you if you practice devotional service, hearing, chanting, remembering, serving, pleasing devotees, if you practice devotional service, you won't even realize these qualities will come to you. When will they come to you? Based on how sincere is your practice, based on how much Krishna conscious you are. Once we are fully Krishna conscious, these qualities manifest in full. When we are partially Krishna conscious, they manifest partially. So we will, a devotee is a walking scripture. He is a walking scripture. He is a ocean of all good qualities. How he has developed these good qualities and all the good qualities. Does he makes a list of all the 31 qualities? This one I practiced today. This I did not. This I did not. This I did not. This I did. Next day, oh, I failed here. No, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about everything. He just gets up in the morning and chants, and he does service whole day, and he pleases devotees. He serves under guidance. He just do just he focuses on developing his own Krishna consciousness, and he or she doesn't even realize after a year or two he has developed so many good qualities. So the here is the, if you want to take home one point, and if you forget everything that we have discussed in this chapter, take this one point home. If you engage in Krishna consciousness, all the good qualities will develop in you. That's the essence. That's the key of how to develop good qualities, by becoming Krishna conscious. The characteristics are not independent of bhakti, they automatically result from surrender to Krishna. So, as we surrender to Krishna, these qualities will automatically come to us. So there is something called Swarup Lakshana and Tathastha Lakshana. Swarup Lakshana is primary quality of a devotee. Swarup, essential, primary quality, and Tathastha is secondary quality. All the 31 qualities are secondary quality, and devotional service to Krishna, Krishna consciousness is the primary quality. This primary quality will give rise to all the secondary qualities. Okay, um, that's all I have for today. We have come to the end of 12 chapters. Now we are in the last phase of Bhagavad Gita, um, which is quite interesting. Um, 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 and we will see that next week. Does anyone has any question? Alright, so we will end here. Vanchakalpatarubhesha kripa sindhube evacha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। थैंक यू वेरी मच। हरे कृष्ण।
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.